So hands up and down, pulling the head back. And then up and out. And turning the head. Then clasping the hands behind the back. And rolling the head, changing direction each time we get to the bottom. Just clasping the elbows. And let's lean forwards. So first down the middle. Squeezing to come back up. And then over one of the knees. And up. And then the other knee. And up. And then repeating those, just trying to go all the way down so the head touches the floor or the knee. Pulling up. Then the knee. Up. And the other knee. And up. Okay, let's do a bit with the stick. The first just behind. Stick up behind the neck. and just a few turning. And then some tipping to the side. One side stretching, one side contracting. And then the stick above the head, dropping down the front, then dropping down the back. And then clasping the stick in the middle and pulling and pushing. Pushing. And pulling. And pushing. And then let's try the one where we twist the arm. Remember this one? So holding the stick up and then just let it down. So it's pretty much horizontal. And then the arm underneath. Yeah, so we're just trying to twist the shoulder. The other side. Okay, then the stick down. And now we'll just try that same thing we've just done, but without the stick. So they do it in yoga, I think. So one arm under the other. And just, so the two forearms are vertical. You're just holding the hands or holding the wrist. And just breathe into it. And then we'll do the other side. So just observe which arm's underneath. And then the other side. And then the one where we pull the arm across, so just pulling that shoulder joint. So you're using the bent arm to just pull that arm right into your body. Again, just breathe into it and try and relax the shoulder. So don't let the shoulder come up too much. And the other side. And then the one where we try and hold hands behind the back. And then the other side, if you can. If it's difficult, then you can use the stick just to connect the two arms, the two hands. And out. Ooh. Okay, let's just rub the hands. And then just rubbing the knees. Now let's reach. So first, let's just reach forwards. and then reaching up, and then a few to the side. And then the strong twist. And the other side. Okay. And then just up and out. One hand turning over and the head And gradually bringing the arms closer, the hands, and figure of eighting. And then reducing the size so they feel like they're contained within the chest. And then let them squeeze down into the belly. And then back up to the heart. And then up into the head. and then let it reduce until you just got prayer posture opposite your forehead. And then just breathing the head point. And then just opening the arms up. And then reaching up. And as though you're pulling something down. Okay, now let's just try this other hand shape. So you're just basically just making like grips with both hands and then just linking them together. Yeah, and then just down here. So John used to recommend this, what we normally do, but he also used to talk about this one where you've just got one hand resting on the other. So this is like a version of that, but sort of with a grip. And then you can work it, you can sort of try and pull the hands apart, a bit like when we're doing the stick, or you can sort of push the hands into each other. So something can be going on as you're meditating. And there's a degree of asymmetry which will cause the energy to move. And then you can just open the hands and grip the other way. And it just becomes the figure of eight. So that where we're gripping like that, that's like the middle of the figure of eight, where the two hands are almost touching. Then you open the hands and just let the bottom one roll around the top of the top one. So it's basically just figure of eight. It's very much the yin yang symbol, like the two fish, the black and the white fish swimming around each other. Or you can think of you're pregnant and you've got these two embryo twins, a boy and a girl, in the belly. Okay. And now just imagine someone's in front of you here. So they're lying down, facing up, and their head is here. So just bring your hands, touch their head, and just imagine listening with the palms. You're trying to hear what's going on in their head with your palms. So you can also just feel it as like a relationship between your hands, like each palm is listening to the other one. But very much feel the two sides of your body unified by this activity on this one head. So don't lock the two sides of the body together. And now imagine that you're trying to pull the hands off the person's head, but they're stuck. So you're pulling the hands apart. What we want is so when we're pushing effectively or listening with the hands, there's a sense of like you've swelled out of your back and you've come round. And so the activity here of the hands, almost pushing their head, is driving your body backwards, is that you've got a sense of swelling away from yourself at the back. And then when we pull the hands apart, what we want is this feeling that it's almost like my spirit body has come out of me and is now filling that space between the hands. So you've actually come into the person's head with your spirit simply by changing the direction of the imagined pressure. And then just reverse it again. Now just imagine you're squeezing very gently or trying to go into the head from your hands. And then change direction once more. Now just pulling the hands apart. Feel it's like there's a brightening. It comes up into the chest, the heart. It's like you're breathing in and almost like you step out of yourself and come into that space. So when you're when you do try it with someone, you can do it on their chest or their head. It is as though you've come into their body, you're inhabiting them. Okay. And then just bring the hands back to here. So now this is a bit like pushing the head, so everything's come into the belly. So this is the belly. It's a center of gathering, of gravity, of pulling into itself. Yeah. So you can think of the hands pushing into each other. And then just reverse it. So as though your hands are stuck to each other, but you're trying to drag them apart very subtly. And just feel how that'll just bring feeling into the heart and especially the thymus, because the energy is lifting inside. And then just let the hands respond to that and come up into prayer. Okay, so now let's just do a little bit of stretching of the legs. Feel the front of the thighs being stretched by this kneeling. But also feel how, it's a nice meditation posture, because somehow the back does tend to get a bit more straight and erect when you're kneeling rather than when you're sitting. So the chest can become proud. And then just down into the fetus. So Just stretching the arms and the spine, and then slowly keep tension in the lower back to protect it. And then up, and separating the feet, sitting down between them. And then either lie backwards or forwards. Then back up and lying back. So first, just trying to activate the hamstrings. So push the left heel down into the floor strongly, and just with your left hand, just feel the hamstrings. Just make sure it's tight, the back of the upper leg, and then just completely relax it. And then the other side. So you can sort of twist the foot a little bit, so the heel, as you apply pressure, you can get different sides of the hamstring. And then just relax again. And now the other side again. So pushing down. And then release. And the other side again. And release. And then just a bit of cycling. Up. And just into the butterfly. it's just moving side to side to start off. So seek stillness in movement. So we're moving hopefully correctly. So with this real balance and equilibrium, so we can sort of find the poise, the stillness, the balance at the center of it. So it's my empty leg that moves my body, and my full leg that supports the body or tries in a way to stop it from moving. So this leg is now got less than 50%. So it straightens to get everything into this leg, and then it bends to start me moving in that direction. And then this one straightens and bends. So one leg is trying to move you, the other leg is trying to stop you. Not so much stop you, it's just support you. So when the leg bends, effectively the joints are bending. So the knee can come up, the heel can come up, but particularly I want to feel the stretch here. So I need to be able to just keep my weight here long enough for this to stretch open. And then as I bring my weight into the foot, I don't want to close this off again. So that's when I really use this leg to push, and then that will give this leg even more of a bowed feeling. So, the joints, especially the hip, it just has to remain open as the weight comes into the foot. Otherwise, the energy won't come beyond that joint. So I've got to keep it open here. Ugh. And then I can get the energy to come up into the opposite hand. So this is especially important in the form. Yeah, so I really want the feeling that the straightening of this leg is penetrating all the way down into the ground here. And then energy can come up. It's like I've created the channel by pushing with this leg, and then energy can come up into the arm. It is difficult. Just a very different way of being on the leg. So it's not so much being on my leg as in my leg. So something here just has to open for me to get a sense that I'm falling down the leg and into the ground. So we're just trying to make the legs porous, if you like, transparent, so energy can go up and down them. And first, in a sense, that has to happen in the mind. We're so used to establishing a stable body so that the mind can go AWOL and start thinking to itself. So this is just like the opposite. I'm wanting the body to be unstable, trembly, about to fail. And then my mind has to be totally present. Otherwise, I will fail. Okay. And now just the same thing, really, but just more quickly and not going quite so far. Just feeling this play of the two legs. And then just get it turning. So the same action, really, but now just turning the body. So both legs straightening now to get me past the front, and then both legs bending to pull me to the front. But again, it's got the feeling of throwing something from foot to foot or from hand to hand. And then just let it slow down and turn further. What we want to feel is the back leg. This is my back leg. So my back leg is pulling to get me round. But then once I've reached front, it has to start pushing again to stop me coming too much into this leg because I'm trying to keep my spine just stationary in the middle. But I really want to feel what the legs are doing. So the feet are grabbing the ground here. That pulls me back to the front, and then both legs are pushing. But well, I want to feel the front leg here, this one being really active. And then I can get that activity in this leg, the straightening of this leg to come through my body and into this hand. Just feel how it's basically just screws up the body in a spiral. And then this leg pulls, and that starts me coming back, gets me to the front. And then both legs start pushing this one to move me into this leg, and this one to get the energy to come up into the front hand. Yeah, so just feel, without the front leg working, the energy wouldn't come up into this arm. But without the back leg forcing me into this leg, there wouldn't be any energy anyway. So they're both really important so that your weight isn't enough to make the situation energetic. Because we're just so used to our own body weight, we're so used to supporting our weight, moving us around without energy. So I've got to add a little bit. So this leg is just forcing me into this leg, and then this leg is forcing the energy up. So we're just trying to feel front foot energy. So, and feel how it screws up. These muscles are really important, and it just comes up from the foot. And it's nice doing it with this sort of riding horse posture because the toes are pointing in here. I'm really pushing against that outside edge, which is helping it. But it's the front leg that's difficult because it really has to do two things. It has to support me, in other words, stop me from moving physically, but also it has to get the energy mobilized. This one is easy because it's just throwing the hip and the arm forwards. But that's not the energy. The energy isn't just this arm going round like that. The energy is coming from this leg. So the front leg is just very different than the back leg. But it is difficult. Same idea really, but now going into the back foot, basically lifting hands or repulse monkey, a back foot posture in the form. So I'm not just relaxing my weight into the leg, I'm also adding to my weight with the front leg, which is really pushing the ground in order to drive me into this leg. And then something comes up into the front hand. And then these toes just come round. That starts me pulling towards the foot. And then I use that front leg to drive me down. And just feel the angle, the natural angle that you tend to take. So what I do with my students, I'll get them in this position, and then I come round here and I just lean on their hand. So I give them some weight. And if they're too vertical, they'll actually topple backwards. So then they can really feel the angle that they have to have in order to be able to translate my weight into the ground, channel it down. So just imagine that someone's pushing on your hand and you've got to get it down into this leg and not let it throw you backwards. This is very much like, the way Young Ching Fu would do lifting hands. So he really leant forward, but you can see why now, because he's really using his front leg to drive him into the back leg. So I think for those guys, their standing postures were just so intense because they're just using the legs against each other, making themselves a lot heavier effectively. Because without that, it won't become energy. So this leg is pushing me into this leg. And then if I can keep relaxed here, relaxed in the joints of the leg, then something will filter up into this hand. And if you don't feel it, just imagine it. Use your spirit to make an image. So the real release is across the sacrum. Just allowing the two sides of the sacrum to be very different. There's this real potential difference across it, and then there must be a flow. Ugh. So I get round, and then something in me has to just drop like the bottom falling off the bucket, and then the energy can flow. Let's just try the other one again. So the turning. Pulling and then straightening the legs. Yeah, so this one is trying to push up through into this hand. So again, front foot energy. And then a visualization here as well. So just imagine you've got here. So what I do here in the posture to help the students connect with their front foot, I'll come round here. hold their hand here, and then I will lean backwards. So I'll give them some body weight, pulling them in this direction. So they really have to angle into that front foot to stop themselves from being pulled over like this. So just imagine that someone is leaning. So you need strength here. You need an angle into that front heel so that their pull, you can easily channel it down into your front foot. And then pulling with the arm or the leg, and then again here. So you're having to hold someone who's falling that way. So I need that front foot, and then pulling with the back leg. And so the energy comes from the opposite leg, but the movement comes from the same leg. Yeah. So this foot is either straightening to move the hand forwards, or it's bending to pull the hand back. But that's not the energy, that's just the movement. The energy is flowing up from the stable supporting leg into the moving hand. This is cross energy. Cross energy is most clearly visible in a kick. Because if you're going to kick with your left leg, obviously your right leg needs to be stable and supporting you. And this is just the same thing. Instead of the energy coming into the foot, it's come up into the upper body. So something has to happen to make it come up into the upper body. So that's postural, but it's also spirit. And again, just try and feel that relaxation, that release across the sacrum that's necessary for this to become energetic. So just feel it. Yeah, so they're pulling you, you're being pulled in this direction. So you're having to lean backwards, brace yourself with that front foot, but keep everything open, all the joints open. And if someone is actually pulling you, not pulling, when you pull someone, you tend to be a bit mean. But when you're giving your body weight, that's just honest and pleasant. So if they're leaning back here, then that added weight and my own strength at creating this posture, that allows the joints to open. It's strange. So if I just feel that pull on my hand, then everything, all the joints, just pop them all open one by one down to the ankle. So this for me this is what pushing hands should be. It's two people just giving each other honesty and helping each other progress, helping each other develop a route, a relaxed route, which will then be energetic. It's not pushing and yielding so much. Whoa. Just feel that intensity of spirit that you need to keep the joints open. This was John's big thing, to actually relax and do good Tai Chi effectively. You need great energy, by which he meant great spirit. Okay. And now let's just do a little bit. It's basically the same thing, but now I'm just trying to get back foot energy as well. So this is the front foot energy, and then sinking back foot energy. So now using the front leg to drive me back and just trying to get the waist, the hips square. So really using the straightening leg, not just to push you into the other leg, but to move the hip either forwards or back. And it's got the same quality. So as you're coming forwards, you have to lean back slightly because otherwise someone will pull you forwards. And as you go back, you need to lean forward slightly, otherwise the person will push you backwards. So this is repulse monkey. And then this is just any of the push postures or the punch or the slap. Back. Ooh, ah. Feel the straightness of back leg energy and feel the roundness, the hooking quality of front foot energy. The back foot, the front hand, it seems, no, sorry, the back hand, this hand here, as I'm coming into the front foot, it feels like it's coming around the corner, almost like you're going to push back on yourself. And this is just very straight when you go into the back leg. Try and make sure you're using the straightening leg to push you into the other leg. And then that'll just enable you to pop the joints open. And then let's try a bit with the other foot forwards. Okay, so let's just try some of this. So it's effectively figures of eights or pronation, supination. I want to really feel it in the spine as much as the arms and legs. And then just into the slow jog. It's trying to stay off the heels. And then just bring the arms up and just imagine you're holding a bar. Yeah, so you're just sort of hanging off this bar and your feet are just pacing. So what we want to feel is just how the sacrum just swings forwards a little bit. If I can support myself from above rather than below. And then just bring the arms down, but to try and keep this in that position. Okay, and now let's just bring it to riding horse. So first the hands on the back. Yeah, so we're coming to stillness from movement. but from an intelligent, attentive movement. Yeah, so it's even when we're at our stillest, it's it can move so readily because my stillness is a balance of movements. So it's just lightness, really. A lightness infuses the body. Yeah, so this is always dancing from leg to leg. It's always turning side to side, even up and down. Like Dr. Chi, there's a real bounce to his form, a brightness, an interest. Like he was so interested in what was in front of him, he bounced towards it. It's like grabbing the apple, that point of clutching in order to pull it towards yourself. That's where the spirit is. Feel the root, or the two roots, if you like, going down into the ground from each heel. They're very much, you're very much like these two ivies that have come up and are twisting around each other. So spirals everywhere. So the energy rifles as it travels. And then the animals are now coming off the heels and onto the front of the foot. Now you've become the animal, so you need to be inconspicuous. So you need to be able to shrink into yourself. But also your senses really need to come out. So you become intensive rather than extensive. And again, this is where we really need the single weightedness, the ability to turn effectively. And then just rocking onto the heel, off onto the heels, yeah. So if you keep them off as long as you can. So this one drops down, it gets sucked into the ground. This one is still up. And then this one goes on the ground, gets sucked into the ground, and then the other one can come up. So we just want to be experts at extending the root into the ground and then retracting it when we need to move the foot. And it is very much like just switching from the animal to the tree. So I'm the animal whilst the heel is off the ground. So I've got this trembly shakiness. As soon as the heel goes down, all of that gets drained out of me, but then it can appear in the other side. So one side of my body, the stable supporting side is the tree. And then the active side that's wanting to move me is the animal or the quality of the animal. Just want to really feel that, but deliberately put the foot down. And then just back into riding horse. So first of all, just the hands on the hips, just to help the sacrum get into the right position, which is generally, the vast majority of the time, slightly forwards of where it wants to be. Not so far forwards it pushes you into the front of the foot, so you're still wanting the feeling that the tail from the two tails from the sacrum are digging into the ground. And then just trying to relax this region is so difficult, because the stability that we're so used to producing is basically tension here. So we need to just investigate it, see what we can let go of. And what we can let go of is actually most of it. And it is strange. If you had someone behind you here and they just came, put their hands on your shoulders and gently press down, it'd be so much easier to relax across here. So we don't quite believe in ourselves. It's just a tiny bit of assistance. It's like, with the weight trainers, the final rep, they just can't move the bar. So they've got two spotters either side. They just use their little finger, just little finger strength. It's enough to bring the bar up. It's like giving the person confidence somehow. Let's come off the heels again, so into the animal. Just feel how you're crouching down and you're coming in. You're trying to hide. You're trying to pull right into yourself. And the more you pull into yourself, the more you want to explode out into the pounce. Yeah. So you'd need to pounce to catch your prey, but you'd also need to pounce to escape being caught. You'd need to be able to just spontaneously explode into something that is nothing to do with your mind. So when you look back on it, it gives you just as much a surprise as it does anyone else. Okay. Now let's just bring the feet a bit closer, and now just going down into the squat, but with this real sense that you're pulling yourself down. So just what we'd like is to be able to activate the hamstrings to do it. So it's very deliberate. It's not just you releasing to gravity. You're having to work. The muscles are having to work to bend the legs, as well as the muscles having to work to straighten them. It's the problem with one of the problems of the body is that the muscles we need to use to go down never really get used. So the hamstrings, the belly, because gravity will just do it for us. So those muscles, they need to be worked and explored so that you can just kick them in just with your mind. You just know what sort of quality of spirit you need to make that muscle fire. And then up. Okay. So now just bringing a foot up. First, just simple. Sinking into one leg. Yeah, so sinking in one side of the body and arising in the other side. Want to feel those two actions as different moods. This is almost a mood of depressive, almost like falling asleep because you can't face the world. And then this has got a real brightness. Your eyes are getting bigger. Things are looking up. So sinking into one side and letting the other side rise. So it's very much this. Basically figures of eight. Everything's figures of eight. Again, I'd like the pulling into this leg to be really active. Yeah, so I'm trying to stay here. This leg is pulling, so the knee is coming up. And that's pulling this open. I'm also twisting the leg. And they're just trying to get, ooh, it's tight. Just trying to get action in the hamstring. When you get it, it's like you really mean it. You'll feel the difference in the spirit. So I'm pulling with the leg, but I'm trying to stay here as well. So pull. Ah, ah. The hamstring is being used to pull me in this direction. And then you can feel it as I get more than 50% in the leg, the tension moves from the hamstring into the quad because this is now the muscle that's supporting me. We just want to feel that roll from one side of the bone to the other. Like using the bicep here and then feeling the tricep, just imagining resistance. So pulling, so it's hamstring, and then as the heel goes down, oh, that like gives permission for the front of the leg to start working and the hamstring to release. And twist. Ah. Okay. So now let's try. So stepping. Let's just do just this simple exercise, forwards and back, just to start with. Again, I'm pulling with the leg. I'm pulling with the leg. And again, just feel it change from pulling whilst there's no weight in it to pushing or not bending anymore once there's weight in it. Just feeling that move from the back of the leg to the front of the leg. And feeling the two different moods associated with those two muscles. So hamstring, then once my heel is down, it's the quad. And now this hamstring, once the heel is down, the front of the leg here, then the hamstring and quad. As one heel goes down, gives permission for the other heel to come up. And then some with the other foot forwards. Just feel that snatch. So I catch the ground. I was effectively wrapping your hand around the apple to pluck it. So that action can either start pulling you into the leg or it can pull the foot off the ground. So we do both here. So this is now pulling me back into the leg. Now it's basically the same thing. I clutch, but it pulls the foot up. Okay, now let's just try quickly. I remember John talking about this when we were in Wimpole Street, so a long time ago. So, when we step, so I pick up the foot and I extend the foot forwards. But what he used to say was, so you send your foot forwards and it's an inch or so off the ground. Now, to get it to go down onto the ground, you don't simply just plonk the foot, because if you do that, you'll tend to put some weight in it, if only the weight of the leg. So what you do, you bend the supporting leg to lower the foot onto the ground. So let's try that. So just pick up the foot, step out, so it's as close to the ground as you can get it, and now just bend this leg to get the foot on the ground. And then it's got no weight, and so it's incredibly light, almost like it's still hovering off the ground. And then I bring my weight into it and then back. And now here, stepping back is difficult. So I need to bend this leg to put the foot down, and then I can move into it. So it's just a very, imagine you had to be incredibly quiet when you were moving around. So you daren't put the foot down with any force. And you want the ability to just pull it back up if need be. And it just really kills the leg. So I have to sink here. And then I bring my weight forwards. So we're very used to controlling our hands. Yes, if you wanted to put your hands on this, a hand on a surface incredibly lightly, then we know well how to do that, and we're good at it. So we just want that same sort of sensitivity and control over the leg, the foot. Ooh, so I can just pull it up, or I can move into it. So I'm controlling the empty leg with the full leg. Because the leg is heavy and clumsy. If I can get it to go down really lightly, then when I pull myself into it, I can keep all the joints open. So here it goes down so lightly, and then the whole thing almost floats off the ground, or feels like it wants to, but it's stuck. And so that action starts me moving into the leg. So it's my lightness that is moving me. And let's try just a little bit with the other foot. So I Whoa. So the leg is just light and relaxed and empty until it needs to be strong. And then it just fills up readily. There's nothing blocking it. Okay, so let's finish. So, so just feel this movement, like you're just throwing a ball from hand to hand. So it's light and easy. So the figure of eight, effectively, one side's opening, other side closing, and then just bring that to a halt. But it's that movement is still there, even though your sacrum is now poised and balanced. And then just bringing the feet up. And again, this sense of this. It's like meditation. When you come to meditation, you normally come to this still, peaceful situation from relative busyness or noise. And so from movement, you're coming to stillness. So that's meditation. So that's how meditation always starts. But then we want to find the movement within the stillness. So having settled and become still for a while, you start to realize, there's all of this movement. So like this figures of eights going on within it, it feels like spirit has come into the room. Suddenly, oh shit, there's activity. So it's in you as much as it is outside, but that's what we want to. So there's always this switching about to happen. So nothing lasts for very long. And this movement that you feel was there all the time. It's so obscured by the coarse busyness of the mundane.